Chapter 3976. The first is more. Is this why you took control of the witch god religion, arrested special lives, and practiced with special ethnic groups? Jian Wushuang stared at the star demon ancestor in front of him, and then asked, I'm curious, since you are here it's so difficult to restore the soul of a starfield, why not choose to go to other starfields? Ha, other star domains? Star demon ancestor smiled and said, first of all, the universe is full of endless danger. Besides, let alone the large number of star thefts that flow through the universe in all year round is a big trouble. If my strength is at its peak, there is no problem in going to other star domains, but the key is that my soul has been hit hard, and my strength is very low. In this case, I will go to other star domains alone, with a little care, I am afraid I will die. Risk, too much. Of course, the most important point is that I know the existence of the primordial realm, and I know that the demon star master has taken away the primal realm. From that moment, I have already started to count the demon star master. Now, I took the initiative to find the Lord of the Clouds, and told him how to maximize the value of the beginning of the world as soon as possible. After listening to this Lord of the Clouds, he was really excited. After all, he also hoped that his strength can increase at the fastest speed. So, I came to the early divine realm and joined forces with the three sacred realms of the beginning to arrange them together, but the Lord of the Clouds didn't know it at all. The method I proposed can indeed bring the early divine realm within the shortest time. It's not him, but me, who has the potential to squeeze it out. If everything goes according to plan, after the plan is completely completed, I can use the power of the early divine realm to fully recover my soul power, and even stronger than before, but unfortunately, because of your appearance, the great sanctuary was directly destroyed, and even I could not continue to stay in the world in the early days. The Lord of the Clouds had to come in person, and my previous plan could only be changed. However, what I never expected was that you have severely damaged the Lord of the Clouds in this battle, and even pushed him to a desperate situation, forcing him to burn most of his soul. This has created a for me golden opportunity. I know, I can't wait any longer, so I shot straight and devoured the soul of the Lord of the Clouds, until now. Jian Wushuang, I really have to thank you. If you have forced the Lord of the Clouds so miserably, I do know when that plan will be realized, but now, it's unnecessary, everything is unnecessary, consumed the soul of the Lord of the Demon Clouds, my own soul has been restored for the most part, and the rest will be restored, and it will be too easy. Star Devil Ancestor laughed heartily. After listening to the Star Demon Ancestor, Jian was eyes dimmed. He already fully understood that the Star Demon Ancestor had already begun to calculate the Lord of the Clouds long ago. The funny thing is that the Lord of the Clouds really thought that the plan proposed by the Star Demon Ancestor was to make him better. Bring into play the value of the early gods. But I do know that all the efforts of the Lord of the Demon Clouds have made a wedding dress for the ancestor of the devil in vain. Until now, even his own soul, his own deity, and everything he owns have been taken by the demon the ancestors took it. Star Demon Ancestor, you have counted for so long, it has indeed succeeded in occupying everything of the Demon Star Master, but one thing, you are afraid to forget. Jian Wushuang suddenly said. Forgot what? Star Demon Ancestor looked over. You forgot the status of the Lord of the Demon Cloud. Before you devoured his soul, he was already hit hard. He is afraid that he will not be able to play 10% of his strength. Although you now occupy his body again, you can still play his peak. What is the strength of the period? Jian Wushuang's eyes were cold. I don't care if you are a witch god, an ancestor of the star demon, or a master of the demon cloud, as long as I am here to kill you, everything can be over. Jian Wushuang's body burst into murderous intentions, and the Wu weapon sword in his hand also trembled slightly, and an astonishing evil swept out. Well, do you want to kill me? Star Demon Ancestor looked at Jian Wushuang with great interest. Jian Wushuang, in eternal dark prison before, all you see is just a soul that I differentiated to control the deities. And at that time you have a red cloud of tokens, which is already invincible, no matter how I use it, there is no use for it, but today, I will let you see the true means of this ancestor. As soon as the voice of the star ancestor fell, his body moved directly. There is no sign of this, the ancestor of this star demon has already appeared in a cosmic void outside the circle, just not far behind the Prince of Shahua. The speed is fast, like a teleportation. The star ancestor's ancestor stared at the Sihua Shenjun in front of him, but there was a flash of enthusiasm in his eyes, followed by a rush. Wow! Wow! A chain of transparent chains exuding a special breath erupted directly from the star demon ancestors. These chains are soul chains, and there are 9 of them, each of which contains a strong soul breath. These 9 chains are covering the past as soon as possible, towards the beginning of the Emperor. What? Shahua Jun was surprised. He didn't even think that this ancestor of Star Devil suddenly shot not only but also the target he was looking at turned out to be himself. Wu Mingming is Jian Wushuang trying to kill him, but this ancestor of the Star Devil killed himself at first. Shahua Jun snorted coldly. After all, he was the master of the 4th series, and his strength was not weak. He wanted to destroy the 9 souls in the first place. Then, the 9 soul chains emanating from the star demon ancestors were not affected by material attacks at all, and even passed directly through the material attacks. In the blink of an eye, they were already covered on the body of the Shahua king. Shihua's prince wanted to struggle, but the moment the 9 soul chains touched his body, the phobia of Shihua's stature was shocked, and a little terror appeared in his eyes. He followed the many strong men in the surrounding battlefield to be able to see that the soul body of the Shahua Shenjun was actually extracted from the body by the 9 soul chains. 9 soul chains completely restrained the soul body of Shahua Shenjun, and then swept away in the direction of the star demon ancestor. Suddenly, the ancestor of Star Devil opened his mouth, and a huge black vortex appeared immediately. Do not! The Emperor Shahua sent a hysterical roar, but under the shackles of the 9 soul chains, he had no room for struggle at all, and the Blinker family had fallen into the black vortex and was swallowed relentlessly. After swallowing the soul of Shahua King, the god body of Shahua King also swept towards the black vortex, and was also directly swallowed by the black vortex. Chapter 3977. Second more. Silent. The entire universe is empty and silent, and needle drops are audible. In the depths of the universe, no matter whether they are from the Taiji Divine Camp or the Demon Star Camp, many of the strong are now widening their eyes and looking at the scene in front of them with incredible faces. Shahua King, that is a real 4th order master. This kind of master can easily become a 2nd-level astral star master at the very edge of the universe. Although there are many strong players in the field, but in addition to the sword unparalleled, in the early days of the Divine Realm, only the 36 slave warriors formed an immortal battle line before they could contend with this original prince. Yi Ku is such a powerful master, but in just a moment, he was swallowed up by the star demon ancestor, even the soul and the body. There is no room for struggle. The Shahua King has not even had time to resist, and he has already become the ration of the star demon ancestors. This. Jian Wushuang looked at the scene in front of him with a look of astonishment at the moment. After swallowing the soul and body of Shahua King, the black vortex dissipated, and the figure of the star demon ancestor reappeared. But the sword is unparalleled at this moment, but it is extremely clear that the breath emanating from the ancestor of the demon, including the breath of soul, is stronger than before. A lot of injuries have been recovered from his body. Jian Wushuang was startled. He relied on devouring the soul and body of Shahua God, and restored his soul and body. Jian Wushuang immediately got angry. Just now the ancestor of Star Demon himself said that he can rely on devouring the soul of others, to restore and enhance his soul, but what Jian Wushuang did not know is that this ancestor of Star Devil can also devour the body of others to restore their own body. That's right, the ancestor of the Star Demon now occupies the demon body of the Lord of the Demon Cloud. This body is too badly damaged, and there is little divine power left. He can't exert any combat power. After he devours the soul of the Prince of Shahua, this ancestor's deity recovered a lot instantly, and even the divine power had been restored by about 20%. The star ancestor of the Xingmao sent out wanton weird laughter. After devouring the soul and body of Shahua Shenjun, he turned his eyes to the 36 strong men who formed the battlefield of Xianhua. The 36 slaves of Jian Wushuang, who had previously formed the battlefield of Xianhua and were entangled with Shahua Lord, were the closest to Shahua Lord. After the star demon ancestors devoured Shahua Lord, they naturally began to fight again. Their attention. See you, wow. 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 The transparent soul chains are extended again. Each of these soul chains is extremely fast and unstoppable. Even Shahua Shenjun couldn't stop these souls from expecting directly. The slaves under the sword of Wu Shou could not stop, even if relying on the power of the battle line. I saw 9 huge soul chains that directly extended into the battlefield, and almost 9 touched the slaves in the battlefield. Although all of these 9 slaves are dominated by the 3rd rank, and they are still the strongest in the dark when they are in eternal dark prison, there is no room for struggle in the face of this soul chain. I saw that for a moment, the 9 souls were pumped out, and uncontrollably looted towards the star demon ancestors. In just a moment, they were swallowed up by the star demon ancestors relentlessly. Oh my! What kind of means is this? Whether it is the 3rd level master or the 4th level master, there is no room for struggle, escape, rush away, or you will be swallowed up by this ancestor of the star devil. Suddenly, 9 strong men were swallowed up by the star demon ancestors, and the rest of the slaves naturally panicked, and all of them fled away at the fastest speed. Escape! Don't let everyone approach this star demon ancestor. Jian Wushuang also gave a loud drink, and the huge wings behind him stretched out, bursting out at the fastest speed, and wanted to rush to the star demon ancestor and bring the star demon ancestor stopped. However, the ancestors of the star demon knew that Jian Wushuang was perfect life, and invincible in soul. The method of detaching the soul he is using now is useful for the 3rd and 4th series masters, and the other party can hardly resist it. This method is useless to swords but is useless. And now that his body has not fully recovered, naturally he does not want to waste time on Jian Wushuang. I saw that the ancestors of the star demon fluttered strangely, like a teleportation in the cosmic void, and in the blink of an eye came to the remaining masters of the demon star. Then a chain of souls was taken out, and a famous master under the demon star immediately became his ration. He followed the ancestor of the demon and went to other places, and thus appeared in one corner after another. The soul chain extended out, devouring the soul and body of a strong man. No one could stop him at all. Even if it is Jian Wushuang, he can only watch it. There is no way. In a blink of an eye, this ancestor of the star devil has devoured thousands of practitioners, including many masters of the rules, and those slaves under the sword unparalleled sword have been devoured by him more than 10. There are also a lot of factions in the camp, which were swallowed up by the ancestors of the star devil. Escape, flee in the direction of Taichu divine realm, fast. As long as you escape to the early world of God, this star ancestor can't take us. Don't come together and run away. Taishu's high-level powers roared desperately, and Jian Wushuang no longer went after the star demon ancestor, but instead helped the powers of Taishu's power to escape at the fastest speed. Fortunately, the battlefield they chose previously was in the void of the universe around Taichu God realm, leaving a retreat for their own camp. Now when they meet the star demon ancestors, they can escape back to Taichu God realm as soon as possible, otherwise the consequences it's really unthinkable. But even so, there are still a lot of powerful people who have eaten up the soul and the body by the ancestors of the star devil. The vast universe was full of countless practitioners, but now it's empty. Only the star demon ancestor is still standing there. As for the many strong men in the early gods camp and the demon star camp, except for those who were swallowed up, most of them fled to the early divine realm, and a small part of them fled to other places. In the beginning, the world was next to the extreme edge of the void in the universe. Many of the top powers in the Taiyuan divine realm camp are gathered here, but their looks at this moment are extremely ugly. How about the loss? Jian Wushuang looked down at the nearby Martian master and asked lowly. It's miserable. His master has 41 slaves. Now there are only 25 people alive, and nearly half have died. As for the masters of the divine camp in the early days, more than 10 have also died, and on the ruler, fortunately, only hundreds of people were swallowed. Stone Mars said. Chapter 3978. Third more. The reason why there are so many slaves who died under the sword of the sword, mainly because the slaves are very close to the ancestors of the star devil, and those slaves are the 3rd level masters, which is obviously more attractive to the star demon ancestors. As for the masters of the early gods' camp, they are far away from the star demon ancestors, but even so, they have been swallowed by a dozen people. On the contrary, they are the rulers. Although they have been swallowed up by hundreds of people, in the eyes of the high-level powers of the early gods, these hundreds of rulers are far less important than those who dominate. There are 700,000. Fortunately, although the ancestral means of the star devil is against the sky, it should not dare to break directly into the early world of the gods. Jian Wushuang muttered. The universe is empty, and only the solitary ancestor of the star demon is still standing there at this moment. He is standing outside Taichu Divine Realm, and can sense Jian Wushuang and others who are at the extreme edge of Taichu Divine Realm, but as Jian Wushuang said, his deity is afraid to break into Taichu Divine Realm. Once invaded into the early Divine Realm, even if he now replaces the Demon Star Master to control the heavenly will power of the early Divine Realm, he still has to be limited by the laws of the universe in the underworld, but the restriction is not so big. Well, did you choose to hide in the beginning of the world? The strange laughter of the star demon ancestor resounded again. Just the others, sword unparalleled, you are a perfect practitioner of life, but in terms of soul, invincible, why didn't you dare face me? Couldn't you be afraid that it would be impossible for me to swallow my soul and devour it? Qi Jian Wushuang was standing at the very edge of the world in the early days. He could clearly hear the words of the ancestor of the star demon. His face sank slightly, and his hands were clenched tightly. Heavenly friend, do not be impulsive. The ancestors of the star demon are strange and unpredictable. Although only the soul means have just been revealed, he has devoured so many strong people. His current strength does not know how much he has recovered. Whether the combat power can be comparable to the Demon Star Master, or should it be stronger, if you go out now, it is likely to be in the middle of him. Yes, this star demon ancestor obviously wants to provoke your master to go out. Stone Mars also said, My dear friend, you are the hope of my early gods. Only when you break through and become the master of the early gods again, will my early gods be able to escape the crisis. And now, although we are forced to escape to the early gods' world, but it's okay, this star demon ancestor is only one person no matter how strong, and his deity does not dare to enter the kingdom of the early gods. Naturally it can't help us. Be careful to be killed by him, then my world was really over in the beginning. The Lord of Time and Space also solemnly said. Fu Jun Lung Rushuang also looked over. I know all of what you said. Jian Wushuang nodded slightly, and his hands slowly relaxed. Relax, I'm not stupid. I wouldn't be in the middle of such a simple challenge, and this battle, Magic Yun Xing's army has been completely defeated. The ancestor of the Star Devil alone is not a great threat to my deity. From the beginning, the expected results of the early god's side were more sought after, which was to defeat the army of His Majesty, and make it impossible for the army of His Majesty to enter the early gods. This is also a type they can accept. Victory. Now the Demon Star army has long been defeated. Only the Demon Star Master is left. Even if he is in control of the heavenly will of the early gods, if there is no help in the early gods, he should not be able to get the early gods. How is the world? At this time, Jian Wushuang will not be stupid enough to take risks. The universe is empty. After the star demon ancestors finished speaking, there was no reply in the early gods, and their brows were raised. Well, it seems that I really don't plan to come out. I intend to keep hiding in the early gods. Then you have been hiding like this, but you can only live another 10 years. Live a decade longer. Many of the powerful men in Taishu's divine realm were shocked to hear this. What do the ancestors of the Star Devil mean? Live a decade more? Can we all die in 10 years? It's impossible. In the beginning, the realm of the gods was a single astral realm. The ancestor of the demon was alone and borrowed his 2 guts. He didn't dare to come in. How can we kill us? Many of the strongest in the camp of the gods in the early days, Star Devil ancestors sneered. Wu Kejian has no two-sided color but is very dignified. He faintly feels that the words of the ancestors of the Star Devil do not seem to scare them. Jian Wushuang, do you really think that as long as you hide in the early world of God, I have nothing to do with you? Haha. It's a joke, you also look down upon my ancestors too. I am not the lord of the demon cloud. Even if he has lost the power of the early gods and controlled the power of the heavenly will of the early gods, he can only slowly benefit from the evolution of the early gods, but I different. My star demon ancestors' most powerful is devouring means. I can devour the soul of the practitioner, devour the body of the practitioner, devour the many geniuses and treasures in the heavens and the earth, and even the treasures. Similarly, when I replace Lord of the Demon Cloud, after occupying the heavenly will of the early gods, I can devour the whole gods too. What? Many of the strong men in the realm of God in the early days of the universe, close to the void of the universe, were frightened by the words of the ancestors of the Star Devil. Swallowing the early world of God. Jian Wushuang couldn't help but widen his eyes. Impossible. How could this be possible? One side of the astral world, this star demon ancestor can also devour. What a joke. Fake, this star demon ancestor must be lying to us, he just wants to cheat us out to die. Yes, Lord of the Bloodsword, don't be fooled. At the beginning of the Divine Realm camp, many of the masters spoke. No one believes what the ancestor of the Star Devil said and directly devours an astral world. What a joke. Who in this universe can directly devour an astral world? Qi Jian Wushuang was also full of doubt. But the ancestral ancestor soon spoke again. I know, you definitely don't believe it, but it doesn't matter, you will believe it soon. The ancestor of the Star Devil did not say more, but directly came to the critical point of the primordial world and the void of the universe, and saw the corner of his mouth slightly tilted, followed by a rumbling black vortex emerged out of thin air. The diameter of this black vortex is less than tens of meters at first, but with its continuous rotation, it has expanded to hundreds of meters, 1 mile, 100 miles, 10,000 miles, 1 million miles in the blink of an eye. Chapter 3979. The first is more. Rumble. The huge black vortex, which has a diameter of more than 10 million miles, is spinning wildly, and an incredible engulfing power bursts out. This engulfing force directly acts on the early world. Suddenly, many powerful men in the early divine realm, including Jian Wushuang and others, could feel very clearly at this moment that the vitality of the early divine realm was passing. This lapse is not just a short lapse, but a continuous flow with the devouring power of the black vortex. This scene made many of the powerful men in the Taiji divine camp embarrassed. He is he really devouring the early world? The whole vitality of the early divine realm is being devoured, and the speed is very fast. Impossible, how could this happen? Before I spoke of the devouring ancestors of the star demon ancestors, I also felt that many powerful people who sneered at them were shocked. None of them thought that the ancestor of the Star Devil could really devour one side of the world as he said. Life is swallowed up too fast. If it has been swallowed at this rate, for at least 10 years, the vitality of the early gods, including everything in the early gods, will be completely swallowed up by this star demon ancestor. Pure. Mysterious man looks extremely ugly. Disaster. This is the biggest disaster in the world of my god. Even if the demon lord of the clouds, he just wanted to speed up the evolution process of the early world, so that the early world would end its life in the shortest time. But now, the ancestor of the Star Devil is going to devour the entire Taichu divine realm directly, and let the whole Taichu divine realm become his ration. This is naturally an unprecedented catastrophe for the Taichu divine realm. It's over. I'm over in the beginning. No way, there is no way. We can only watch the world in the early days being devoured by this ancestor of the Star Devil. What we can do, we have already done it, but in the end, can't we change the end of the destruction of the gods in the beginning? Many practitioners who originally belonged to the early world of the gods were mourning at this moment. To prepare for this battle, they prepared too much. They thought that as long as they defeated the demon star army, the world would be spared in the early days. However, they did not expect the sudden appearance of this star demon ancestor, but they let the early gods. The world is in a bigger disaster. Moreover, this disaster is almost irreversible. At this moment, Jian Wushuang also clenched his hands and looked up at the black vortex whose diameter was more than 10 million miles, and his figure was shaking slightly. Fu Jun, the cold frost next to the uncle, looked over, but with a smile on her face. You have tried your best. The end is like this, you don't need to blame yourself. Yes. Mysterious Shinto nodded slightly. You have done your best, but the appearance of the ancestor of the Star Devil, no one had thought of it. It seems that it is destined that I will be suffering from this calamity in the early days. Tianhu Xiaoyu, your talent Shuju, the potential is unlimited. There is no need to stay in the early gods like me. If you can, you take your wife and leave. Leave. Jian Wushuang glanced at Shen Shinto. What about you? I am waiting for a few people to be different from you. We have lived long enough, and we have already reached the end of our journey. Even if we are given the opportunity to travel to the depths of the universe, I am afraid it will be difficult to make any further progress. We might as well stay in Taichu Divine Realm and live and die with Taichu Divine Realm. Shen Shinto laughed. Haha, Shen Shen is right. Our potential has been exhausted long ago. It is also luck that we can live to this day. But Xiaohu Yuyu, if you travel to the depths of the universe, you can achieve greater success, even in the future. It is possible to ask the Supreme Master. At that time, you will take revenge for my early gods and kill the Star Demon ancestor, and I have no regrets. The Master of Time and Space also laughed. It is difficult to take the lead in the Scourge, but these local masters in the early days of the world looked a little indifferent. They don't care about their own lives, but they are still full of expectations for the sword unparalleled. After all, Jian Wushuang's talent potential is too incredible. Even to them, they have been dragged down by Jian Wushuang, which has caused Jian Wushuang to never go deep into the universe. And now, if the realm of the gods really collapsed in the beginning, if all of them died, it might be a relief for Jian Wushuang. The gods of Shen Shen and the Lord of Time and Space all think so. However, Jian Wushuang did not think so. In the early days, the realm of God was his hometown. It was the place where his master Zuni also had to fight to protect his life. He was the second perfect practitioner of life in the early world of God. Too early world. Although it seems that the devastation of the world was unavoidable at the beginning, Jian Wushuang is still not too pessimistic, and he is still thinking about countermeasures. Is there really no way out? Jian Wushuang frowned, but his hands were clenched tightly. No, there is still a glimmer of hope. Fan Jianwu doubled his right hand, and a scarlet elixir suddenly appeared in his hand. This elixir is exactly one of the special treasures given to him by Wind Demon in that special time and space. The Wind Demon gave him 2 treasures in total, of which the bamboo leaf has been used when dealing with the Demon Star Master, and the power of the bamboo leaf did not disappoint him, which contains some of the power of the 5th series. The Demon Star Master was forced into a desperate situation directly. If the Demon King Master knew a special method of burning the soul, he would have died directly before fear. The bamboo leaves only need Jian Wushuang to guide with their own divine power to exert their power, but this blood-colored elixir is different. According to Feng Mo, this scarlet panacea is a trivial matter. Although it can make him stronger in a short period of time, the cost is extremely high, and he may even die directly. Because of the high cost, Jian Wushuang had reservations before. He used this scarlet elixir as his strongest hole card and never used it. But now the calamity is at the head. When he uses all means to fold his cards, he can't stop the ancestor of Star Demon. Jian Wushuang can only pin all hope on this blood-colored potion. Tianhu Xiaoyu, what is the elixir in your hand? Shen Shendao looked at the elixir in Jian Wu's hands in surprise, and felt that his elixir was extraordinary. I don't know the specific elixir, but this elixir will be the last hope of the world. Qi Jian Wushuang clenched his blood-colored elixir with his hands, but in his eyes there was a sharp explosion. Chapter 3980. Second More. Last Hope. Wu Shen Shinto, the Lord of Time and Space, and the many strong men in the surrounding Taiji Divine Camp all looked at Jian Wushuang in succession. Frost. At the moment, Wu Zhenshuang looked at his wife tenderly, with a slight smile. I really want to walk with you to the world, and to travel all corners of the universe, but I'm sorry. Fu Junlong Rushwang's eyes were wet immediately, looking at the blooddan taken out by Jian Wushuang, and what Jian Wushuang said, she had guessed something faintly, only to see her smile slightly. These in fact, I am very satisfied. You can rest assured. Don't worry about me. If you die, I will never live one more day than you. Qi Jian Wushuang stunned, he took a deep look at his wife, and he could see the decisiveness in his breath. He nodded, and Jian Wushuang swept directly into the void of the universe. At the beginning of the Taiyuan deity camp, many practitioners were almost desperate, but suddenly they all saw the figure swept away from the void of the universe. I am the Lord of the Blood Sword. The Lord of the Blood Sword, will you go out and fight the Star Demon Patriarch? I don't know why. When they saw the swordless twins rushing out, these practitioners who had been desperate had suddenly a little hope in their hearts. Yes, Jian Wushuang is their only hope. Star Demon Patriarch. With a loud blast, he exploded in the cosmic void, and Jian Wushuang had left the early divine realm and returned to the cosmic void. Previously, because the Demon Star army had been defeated, and only the Star Demon Patriarch was left. Everyone felt that the Star Demon Patriarch alone could hardly really threaten the early gods. Therefore, Sword Wushuang did not need to take risks, it was not necessary. Spell. I now know that after the Star Demon Ancestor can directly devour the primordial world within 10 years, Jian Wushuang will have to fight desperately with the Star Demon Ancestor. Buzzing humming. The huge black vortex suddenly stopped, followed by convergence at an alarming rate. Soon, the black vortex completely disappeared, and the figure of the Star Demon Ancestor gradually emerged. Haha, Jian Wushuang, now finally can you let it go? Star Demon Ancestor looked at Jian Wushuang, but with a strange smile on his face. Wu Jian has no double-sided color, is cold, and never speaks, and in his 2 hands, he holds the Wu Cry Excalibur with one hand, and the other hand holds the blood-colored elixir. The elixir was his only chance, but he did not plan to swallow the elixir immediately. Although this Star Demon Ancestor devoured the Sihua Lord before, and many masters still have a lot of rules, but his combat power should not have recovered to the highest level. Jian Wushuang stared at the Star Demon Ancestor. He can feel that the deity occupied by the ancestor of the Star Demon originally from the Lord of the Clouds has not yet reached the peak state, and there is still a large gap from the peak state. First try his current fighting power. Sword was eyes flickered, and immediately the 3 towering town monuments rose directly, a burst of gold light flickered, and in the blink of an eye, the magic town Tianfa array was already formed. There was a strong repressive force acting on the ancestors of Xingmo, but the ancestors of Xingmo still smiled, as if they had not been affected in any way. French array, kill, sword formation, wave light, booming rumbling. The endless golden light sword is swept out by the ocean, and the mighty madness rushes towards the Star Demon Ancestor. The Star Ancestor of the Star only casually glanced at the golden light in front of the ocean, but the corner of his mouth showed a slight disdain. Joke. I saw the Star Demon Ancestor waved at will, and suddenly, a black divine power swept directly out. This black divine power is extremely special, completely different from the divine power of ordinary practitioners, and much more powerful than the divine power of ordinary practitioners. It's this kind of power again. Jian Wu's eyes narrowed sharply. He remembered very well that in the eternal dark prison, he had used the vein of red clouds to suppress this Star Demon Ancestor, but the Star Demon Ancestor could still mobilize a very special power, which was not only special, weird. And it's amazing. The ancestral ancestor himself also said at the time that the reason why Hongyun Imai would suppress him was because he had mastered this special power. Now, the ancestor of the Star Devil uses the special body of the Lord of the Clouds to use this special power again. Although the body of the Lord of the Clouds has not yet recovered to its peak, the strength of the ancestor of the star is not at its peak, but when this black divine power diffuses. Crashed Quikilaxiu, round after round golden sword intended to be ruthless strangling wave off, or even directly to the final collapse of the gold sword intended to integrate directly impact the ocean are open. Zun just waved his hands at will, and the sword swordsman and the magic sword town Tianfa array combined with the light sword array has been directly defeated. Although Jian Wushuang at the moment did not perform dragon mystery, nor could it trigger the primitive universe, as long as it is displayed in conjunction with the Shunma town Tianfa formation, even if it encounters the ordinary 4th level master, it can barely entangle 1 or 2, but this ancestral ancestor, very strong, even if he hasn't reached its peak yet, his combat power is still far more powerful than the previous Demon Star, and he swallowed the soul of Demon Star mastering everything about the Lord of the Clouds, naturally also includes the trace of the universe's rules, but when the ancestor of the stars and the Celtics first shot, he never used the rules of the universe. The sword has no double-sided gloom. Simple confrontation. He has understood that, even with his own strength, even if he can perform the dragon extinction technique, even if he can also perform the primitive universe, he still can't compete with this star demon ancestor. He could only pin all hope on the blood-stained panacea in the palm of his hand. Fengmo Sr., you elixir, don't let me down. The double-sided sword of Wu Jian has been completely twisted and became extremely embarrassed. He knows that the elixir is likely to die once he swallows himself, and at this moment, he is ready to die. I didn't hesitate. Jian Wushuang swallowed the panacea clenched in the left palm directly. When the panacea was inserted into the body, Jian Wushuang only felt that his throat was dry, and at first there was nothing strange. But after the syringa really swallowed in the belly, bang, an unexpected power broke out suddenly. This mighty power, with an ancient will, swept directly in all directions. Rumbling, rumbling. At this moment, the entire universe is trembling madly. At this moment, the vast universe is under the control of that ancient will. At the same time, a vast message suddenly surged towards the sword unparalleled like a tide. Chapter 3981. Third more. This. The sword is unparalleled at this moment, but his head is a little cyanotic. He thought that the blood-stained elixir was the pure elixir that could increase his strength in a short period of time. But now that he actually swallows it, he finds that the result is not the case. At least this hemochromic medicine contains more than just that kind of medicine power, it also carries an ancient will power and a vast message. This vast message is, first of all, about the use and history of this elixir. Hongling Baodan. Wu Jian Wushuang didn't know the real name of this blood-colored elixir until now. Knew about the origins and uses of this Hongling Baodan, but surprised Jian Wushuang. Hongling Baodan, the supreme level of elixir, after taking it, whether it is the ruler, the chaos master or the supreme, you can directly fall into the state of epiphany. In this state of epiphany, both the speed of cultivation and the speed of enlightenment can be directly increased 100 times. This elixir is one of the most desirable and enthusiastic elixir in the vast universe. Even the supreme level of the elixir is extremely eager for this elixir. A brief introduction made Jian Wushuang startled. This elixir is completely different from what Fengmo predecessors said. When in the special time and space, Fengmo gave him the scarlet elixir, the Wind Devil clearly said that the elixir was the kind of elixir that could increase his power in a short time, but the side effect of this elixir was extremely great. Once swallowed, he might even die. Wu Jianshuang remembered it clearly. Fengmo did say so, so he always regarded the elixir as the strongest whole card. Until the last moment, he was unwilling to swallow the elixir and fight for his own life. But now, when the elixir is actually swallowed, the elixir information available is not the same at all. This blood-colored elixir, called Hongling Baodan, is a kind of elixir that can be used to help people to practice enlightenment in a short period of time. It is also very high level. If this elixir is usually obtained, Jian Wushuang will certainly be ecstatic. After all, how rare is epiphany? But now he swallowed this elixir to fight desperately with the star demon ancestor. At this time, what was the epiphany? Wu Jian's heart was bitter, and he didn't know why the wind demon had to make such a big oolong. But the message that came to his mind made Jian Wushuang completely understand. The following messages were left to him by the wind demon. Jian Wushuang, since you can see this message, you should have swallowed the elixir I gave you. How about it? Did you not think of it? Is it a little dumbfounded? Ha ha. Fengmo is obvious this was done deliberately, and the message left was full of jokes. Let's get back to the truth. I must first tell you, indeed, I lied to you. The elixir I gave you is nothing at all that can increase your strength in a short time, but the price is extremely high, and it will even directly affect you. Dead elixir, I can't give you such an elixir. After all, your kid understands a bit of the law of the universe at the level of the rule master. Such a super genius, even if I'm Ling Yunxing, must be regarded as a treasure, and how could I give you this kind of elixir? Of course, the reason why I would lie to you is mainly to hone you. If I tell you the true use of this elixir, you swallowed it earlier, the strength increased, and the trouble was easily solved. What is it? The sword is not bizarre. He now understands that the Wind Devil has lied to himself from the beginning. Obviously he has such a great elixir, but told him that this elixir is used desperately at a critical time. And he did not even think of Feng Mo's identity at that time. He would lie to himself, and did not expect to go up there. Of course, Feng Mo deceived him like this, and the starting point was also for his good. Wu Jiansu continued to listen. Jiang Wushuang, you listen well. This Hongling Baoden you swallowed now is one of the top elixirs in the vast universe, but it has made countless supreme eyes and even scramble for it. Of course, this although the elixir itself is precious, in this elixir, the Star Master has left a trace of will. This will is truly the most precious and most important. It is even more rare than the Hongling Baodan. Many more. Feng Mo said again. Will. Jian Wushuang stunned. He swallowed Hongling Baodan, and instantly an ancient and majestic will rose up, and now completely covered the entire void of the universe. Is this ancient will left by Master Lingyun? No wonder it was so arrogant. This elixir was originally prepared by the Star Master for his own personal disciples, but unfortunately, the war came too suddenly, and the Star Master has not had time to collect a self-disciplined disciple, and this elixir has been with us all the time. In the special time and space of the film, until you passed the test of the 18th set by the Lord of the Stars, at that time we felt that you were qualified to become the disciple of the Lord of the Stars, but it was just barely qualified, plus yours the saint did not die at that time, and the strength was too weak. If this elixir was given to you at that time, it would be too wasteful, so instead of giving it directly to you at that time, you were asked to choose an inner star secret technique. But then when you come to that special time and space again, not only did you break through and become the ruler of the rule, but you also unbelievably comprehended a trace of the law of the universe. Alas, the ruler comprehended a trace of the law of the universe, and you are perfect, the practitioner of life level. With this talent, I am afraid that the entire vast universe cannot find a second person, so at that time we decided that you must be a star disciple. Here you come to us to save time. I will discuss with several other brothers. Was Lingbao gold medal in Hongdan to you? Jian Wushuang, I lied to you, letting you swallow this Hongling Baodan at the moment of life and death. Then you must be in a very crisis situation now, but it doesn't matter. In a crisis situation, as long as the Master's will is awakened, no one can hurt you. And this Hongling Baodan not only gives you to enter the state of epiphany, the most important thing is that after the Master's will is awakened, it will give you great chance fortune. This chance fortune is actually many guidelines left by the Master. It is his understanding of the rules of heaven and earth, the understanding of the laws of the universe, as well as various aspects of refining, alchemy, and formation, as well as various taos, such as knife, sword, and gundo. He is an invincible supreme. He has unique insights and insights in all aspects. After you swallow the Hongling Baodan, you can come into contact with the Master's will, and the Master's will teach you a full 100 years. Of course, this is 100 years in a special state, but it is only one day outside. Chapter 3982. The first is more. 100 years. The will of the Lord Lingyun taught me 100 years in person, and he is still swallowing Hongling Baodan, in an epiphany state. Jian Wushuang's mind was a little dazed. Jian Wushuang, although it is only 100 years old, it is an incredible creation for any master, and you are just the master of the rules, and you get this opportunity in a desperate situation. Your harvest will be it's going to be bigger, so rare this once-in-lifetime opportunity. Do NT live up to my hard work? Here, the message is completely interrupted. Wu Qijian's heart was completely unable to calm down. At this moment, he can clearly sense the existence of that ancient will. This ancient will is left by the invincible and supreme level Lord Lingyun. Even if it is only a trace of will, it can still make the laws of the universe retreat. And this ancient will now covers the entire universe. The ancestor of the star demon standing in front of Jian's face was full of teasing smiles, but now he can't laugh at all, because he also felt Jian Wushuang. That will. This will covers everything in the void of the universe, and he is also covered by this ancient will. At this moment, He only feels that his thoughts are completely frozen. He stood there with his eyes wide, he wanted to open his mouth, but found that he couldn't move at all. I can't even move my mouth, let alone shoot against the sword. What the is this, anyway? Star Demon Ancestor was furious, and his heart was screaming frantically. He didn't know what happened to Jian Wushuang. He only knew that he was unable to move under that will now. He stood in front of Jian Wushuang like a sculpture like this. At the moment, Jian Wushuang sat down in the cosmic void and even closed his eyes. Wu Hongling Baodan has been swallowed by him, and the power of the elixir has been exerted, allowing Jian Wushuang to quickly enter a state of mystery, which is the state of epiphany that countless practitioners have dreamed of. In the state of epiphany, the speed of the practitioner's realization will be multiplied exponentially. At this time, a hazy figure had appeared in Jian Wushuang's mind. This figure is extremely tall and magnificent, but at the same time it gives a very intimate feeling. Wu Jian Wushuang understood that this dim figure was the master of Lingyun. This Lingyun star is a will at this moment, and penetrates into his mind, preaching directly in his mind. Master Ling Yunxing began to preach. Because Jian Wushuang is only the master of rules, and he is good at the relationship between the universe and the laws of the universe. This Ling Yunxing mostly teaches about the rules, the disciplines of kendo and the laws of the universe. Wu Jianshuang is listening carefully. He has a very high level of understanding. With the help of Hongling Baodan, the speed of understanding is even more incredible. What Ling Yunxing almost said, Jian Wushuang understood everything. Wu Jian Wushuang also knows that this opportunity is rare. He has no waste at all and has been listening, understanding, and understanding. But Lingyun Star Master, that is a supreme person who has reached the level of invincibility. Even in the vast universe, he is also a supreme figure of a hegemon. He talks about everything from shallow to deep, and it is useful to the sword unparalleled and very helpful. Time began to slowly pass, and in the cosmic void, less than half an hour had passed, but in the world of consciousness of sword unparalleled, it had been a full 3 years. In just 3 years, Jian Wushuang has realized the 5th rule, the rule of gold. At the time, Jian Wushuang had tested his affinity with the rules of heaven and earth. Among them, the rule of gold and his affinity were no less than the rules of earth. Before he fully understood the rules of the earth and the 4 rules were merged, he began to explore the 5th rule. This 5th rule is the rule of gold. Before the start of this war, Jian Wushuang's rules on gold were somewhat enlightened, but the level of perception was not high. But now, with the help of Hongling Baodan, Jian Wushuang listened to Ling Yunxing's introduction to the rules of gold. From shallow to deep, it contained everything of the rules of gold. In just 3 years, Jian Wushuang changed the rules of gold. Completely enlightened. And this is just the beginning. In the 13th year of the Epiphany, the 6th rule, the Dark Rule, is fully enlightened. In the 31st year, Jian Wushuang's kendo made great progress, reaching the first major achievement of the kendo universe. At this level, many of the 4th level masters who are good at kendo did not reach. In the 4th to 5th year, Jian Wushuang made another breakthrough in kendo, reaching the first completeness of the origin of kendo universe. Simply understanding of kendo's understanding is already comparable to the 5th level master. In the 78th year, Jian Wushuang's understanding of the laws of the universe increased greatly, from barely grasping a trace to the threshold of truly entering the laws of the universe. In the 82nd year, the 5th rule of gold, which was learned by Jian Wushuang, was combined with the other 4 rules. Since then, the 5 rules have merged. In the 99th year, Jian Wushuang's confrontation together reached a new level, and it was already comparable to some masters in the universe who are better at array, such as Blood Rain Demon. I finally reached the 100th and final year. This last year the effect of the Hongling Baodan has already been consumed. This year, the sword is unparalleled and has not made much progress. Instead, it integrates the previous 99 years' experience. The vast universe is in the void. Buzzing. The ancient will that existed for a day and night finally dissipated slowly. The vast cosmic void has also restored peace, and the ancestor of the Star Devil has finally restored his ability to move at this moment. Did it finally dissipate? The star ancestor clenched his teeth, looking extremely ugly. Even though it was urgent and lasted for a day and night, but on this day and night, he was full of pride and was deterred by that will. He could not move at all. He could always feel the arrogance and terrible of that ancient will. Supreme, it must be the will of the Supreme Strong, and I am afraid that it is not the ordinary Supreme. The ancestor of the Xingxing demon has an extraordinary origin, and his knowledge is not low. He can naturally perceive the mastery of the master of the will. A single wire of will is strong enough to deter the void of the entire universe, and even to avoid the laws of the universe. Such a strong man, even in the deepest part of the universe, must be a hegemonic level of existence. What does this sword have? What did you do? What happened to that will just now? How many secrets are there in this kid? The star ancestor's ancestor narrowed his eyes and stared at Jian Wushuang. Chapter 3983. Second more. He is not only the ancestor of the Star Devil, but also the many powerful men in the early Divine Realm camp, which are close to the edge of the universe at the moment. None of them understand what happened to Jian Wushuang. They are as full of doubts and puzzles as Star Demon ancestors. What is going on with the Lord of the Blood Sword? I don't know, but looking at it like this, seems to be practicing cultivation. What a joke. Many of the strong men in the Taiyuan Divine Realm camp looked strange. Neither of them can believe that at this moment of life and death, the Lord of the Blood Sword still has the mood to cultivate. But looking at him sitting cross-legged in the void of the universe, it is indeed a cultivation practice, and it seems that the ancestor of the Star Devil has not disturbed his cultivation. Girl Frost, you are the wife of Qianhu Xiaoyu. Do you know what this is? The Xian Shinto man looked at Leng Rushuang. I don't know. Leng Rushuang shook his head slightly. Fu Jun took out a blood-stained elixir and said something like that. As far as I know him, he should want to use the blood-stained elixir. It's right to be desperate with this star demon ancestor, but this result. Cold and frosty, my heart was very puzzled. In fact, I don't blame them, even if Jian Wushuang himself, I had never expected that this would be the situation. And now, 1 day and 1 night has passed, and a full 100 years have passed in the space of consciousness. The training of Jian Wushuang has finally come to an end. Even though cultivation has stopped, Jian Wushuang still hasn't opened his eyes, and his body has a majestic divine power gathered wildly. Boom! Suddenly, the entire void of the universe was shocked, and then a new breath of divine power began to emerge from Jian Wushuang's body. This is the breath of divine power that dominates the level. The star ancestor's face changed suddenly. Dominate the breath. At the moment, many powerful men in Taiji's divine realm were felt, and all of them were shocked. Master, you can't be wrong, this is indeed the atmosphere of the master level, Qianhu Xiaoyu. Could it have broken through to become master? Xian Shinto man stared with wide eyes and stared at Jian Wushuang with incredible face, and deep in that eye at the same time, he also carried an unprecedented excitement. Breakthrough? He sat in that cosmic void and practiced for a while, then broke through? At the moment, the Lord of Time and Space, the Lord of the Heavens, the King of Heaven, the Emperor 13, and all the powerful men in the early divine realm are somewhat unbelievable at this moment. But in addition to being incredible, more is an unprecedented excitement and ecstasy. You must know that Jian Wushuang is a practitioner of perfect life level. Once he breaks through and reaches the Dominion, he can easily retake the primordial divine realm, and naturally, the primordial divine realm can turn into danger. However, the practitioners of the perfect level of life have to break from the master of the rules to reach the master. The difficulty is too great. They have asked Jian Wushuang before. Jian Wushuang himself said that he is far from the master. Breakthrough. Just because Jian Wushuang couldn't break through the master, they had to choose to fight against the Devil Star as a last resort. Until now, the ancestor of the devil was drawn. But whoever thought that Jian Wushuang broke through at this time? Is it really a breakthrough, or is it because of that blood-colored elixir that it has temporarily risen to the level of dominance? The Lord of the Martian said suddenly. When he said this, the hearts of the many powerful men in the Taiji divine camp were tight again, and all eyes immediately looked at them. Breakthrough dominated? This is impossible. Star Demon Ancestor stared at the sword Wushuang in front of him, unwilling to believe at all. I can just now. Boom. The universe was empty, and there was a loud roar. The ancestors of the Star Demon, and the countless strong men in the Taiji Divine Camp, were all shocked by this roar, and everyone looked up at the same moment. I saw the top of the cosmic void, rumbling tilde tilde tilde, that dark and boundless cosmic space as if forcibly penetrated by people. A huge boundless cosmic void appeared out of thin air. This cosmic black hole is too big, occupying almost half of the cosmic void. He followed closely, and from that cosmic void, there was a loud noise. The dazzling rays of light lit up, and a supreme rule came suddenly. This rule is superb and supreme. As soon as he appeared, the entire void of the universe was completely condensed. I was in the starry ancestor of this universe, staring at this scene with wide eyes. This is the law of the universe. The law of the universe is coming. In the Taiju Divine Realm, countless strong men in the Taiju Divine Realm were also stunned. It is the law of the universe, and the law of the universe comes down in person. It's really the legendary law of the universe. What's going on? The law of the universe was attracted by the Lord of the Blood Sword. I screamed in exclamation, ringing out. The Shen Shinto, the Lord of Time and Space, the Lord of the Heavens and the Heaven, and the Heavenly Ancestor looked at each other, and the eyes of the four were filled with unprecedented shock. The law of the universe is coming, and they are no stranger to this scene. At the beginning of the Divine Realm, Zhen Wushuang, refining the ancient chaotic world into his own secret world, also caused the law of the universe to come down in person. It's just that the magnitude of that advent was relatively small, and the law of the universe came through the beginning of the Divine Realm, but this time it descended directly into the cosmic void, and the law of the universe that came down was significantly more extensive, more majestic. And the same is that the last time the universe law came because of the sword warriors, this time the universe law came, or because the sword warriors. It's Tianhu Xiaoyu, it must be that he broke through the master, which led to the coming of the law of the universe himself. Shen Shinto shouted in surprise. Is it really the Lord of the Blood Sword that breaks through? A breakthrough from the ruler of the rule leads to the coming of the laws of the universe. Many of the strong men in the Divine Realm camp face each other, and the shock in their hearts cannot be described in words. In fact, what the mysterious Shinto people say is not wrong. Is a breakthrough. Before the start of the war, he was really far from the master level. After all, he only just realized the fifth rule, and the perfect life level must break through the rules master. I am afraid that even the 5 rules are not necessarily integrated. Enough. Qi Zhen Wushuang had never thought of breaking through the Dominion before the war. However, the appearance of the Hongling Baodan has completely changed all this. Wu Hongling Baodan let him enter the state of epiphany, and the will of Ling Yunxing Master contained in the period taught him a full 100 years in the space of consciousness. In this century, his progress has been too great. Chapter 3984. The first is more. From the beginning of understanding the 5th rule to the direct fusion of the 5 rules, she has even realized the 6th rule. As for Kendo, he has achieved the first completeness of the origin of the universe of the sword, and his perception of the laws of the universe has also been greatly improved. I can say that this century has been a qualitative leap for him. And his original understanding of the rules was still not enough to let him break through to dominate, but the key is that Zhen Wushuang's perception of Kendo and the laws of the universe is too high, which has greatly promoted him. Until now, he was finally the master of the rules, the breakthrough reached the master, and the breakthrough, the law of the universe immediately came. The law of the universe came, and Zhen Wushuang encountered it before. The law of the universe came, and the momentum was not as great as this time, but the law of the universe still gave him a gift of supernatural power and a mighty will. And this time the advent of the universe law did not give Zhen Wushuang the talented supernatural power, but also gave Zhen Wushuang a willpower. And this willpower is much stronger than the willpower he first obtained. When the first law of the universe came down, the willpower given to him would double his attack power directly, and now this willpower, but let his attack power directly increase 10 times. Not only that, Jian Wushuang also faintly noticed the will power given by the laws of the universe this time, and also carried some incomparable special powers. This kind of power is beyond the reach of Jian Wushuang. In the cosmic void, Jian Wushuang still sat there with his eyes closed slightly. He is feeling his change. From the breakthrough of the rule to the master, this is a qualitative transformation for ordinary practitioners, not to mention the sword unparalleled. The perfect life-level practitioner, at the moment when he broke through his dominance, both the divine body and soul have been unprecedentedly improved, and his divine power has also undergone transformation. Finally, everything calmed down. The transformation of Jian Wushuang has been completed, and the law of the universe that came down slowly converges and dissipates. The cosmic void has once again restored its former darkness and tranquility. What's different is that the star demon ancestor at this moment has long lost the former randomness and calmness. On the contrary, his look is still extremely dignified. The star ancestor stared at the sword Wushuang in front of him. Although Jian Wushuang still sat there with no intention of shooting, but the star ancestors could feel a tremendous pressure from Jian Wushuang. This kind of pressure has never been experienced in previous wars. How come? His previous combat power was also the highest in the third rank. Relying on the sword array and the rule of treasure, he barely competed with the fourth rank. Only by performing the magic of burning magic and many hole cards can he threaten the ordinary fourth. The level dominates, and even now, even if he has broken through to reach the domination, it should only be a transformation of divine power and soul. The improvement of this divine power should be too outrageous for his overall strength. Why? Why is the pressure he is putting on now so great? The ancestor of Xing Mo is a little confused. However, he did not know that Jian Wushuang only broke through from the master of the rule to dominate. The overall improvement of the strength was really small, but the key was the day he had learned before, and he spent a full 100 years in the conscious space. He made great progress in the year. Now when he breaks through the domination, he can make up for his divine power. Compared with the previous strength, he is completely different from the world. Buzz. Sword Wushuang, who was sitting in the void of the universe, opened his eyes suddenly, and his figure slowly stood up. On him, a powerful dominating breath condensed, and the magnificent power swept away. Divine power is determined by the strength of the divine power. Before the sword, Wushuang was only the master of the rules. Because of the special life level, the divine power is comparable to the general master, and the divine power is naturally the general master. But now he breaks through the domination, and because the 5 rules have been merged, a breakthrough is the second-level master, plus the speciality of perfect life, which makes him instantly comparable to the third level in the basic divine power. Dominate the hierarchy. That supernatural power is naturally at the third level. But this is just the basic divine power. The many mysteries and techniques of Wu shows unparalleled have not yet been cast. Dominate. It took so many years and put in so much effort. Until now, it has finally broken through to dominate. Jian Wushuang clenched his hands tightly, and now he was exuding a strong light. In the Taiju divine realm, the many powerful men in the Taiju divine realm have already been amazed. Haha, it really broke through, the Lord of the Blood Sword, he really broke through and reached the domination. It's not that you swallowed the elixir and reached the level of dominance in a short period of time, but it is real. It broke through and became the dominator. Seeing this might, it is by no means ordinary. Well, before the master breaks through, the combat power can already rival the 4th-level master. Now that he breaks through, how strong is his strength? In the early days, there was a salvation. Many of the strong men in the Taiyuan divine camp were extremely excited. Especially the Shenshin Taoist and the Lord of Time and Space. They are very few, but they are very clear how significant the significance of the whole Taichu world after Jian Wushuang broke through the domination. After all, only by breaking through the dominance of Jian Wushuang can he regain the kingdom of Taichu Divine, and then he can truly get rid of the crisis of Taichu Divine realm. Now, Jian Wushuang has finally achieved it. Then, the only trouble is that Star Demon ancestor. Star Demon Patriarch. Yang Jian Wushuang's eyes resemble electricity, and a heartbreaking limang erupts, staring at the ancestor of the Star Demon. Deep in the eyes, There is an astonishing killing intention condensing there. I won't go in, just break from the rule master to reach the master, where can your strength go? Star Demon Ancestor hummed. I will let you see it. Jian Wushuang did not have any nonsense. Wu Wei's Excalibur has already appeared in his hands, followed him and shot directly. Buzzing. The astounding mighty power erupted from the 3 town monuments, forming a huge town of gods and magic. With the same magic array, with the sharp improvement of Jian Wushuang's divine power at this moment, and his improvement of the laws of the universe, the power of this magic town Tianfa array has also been improved several times or even 10 times more than before. In the huge town monument, 3 towering golden gods are condensed together. These 3 towering golden gods are obviously more towering and powerful than before, and the golden light on their body is more intense. End of this chapter. Chapter 3985. Second more. Boom. The entire universe, which is covered by the magic circle of the magic town, shivered wildly. The star demon ancestor in the center of the French array was also under the force of suppression for the first time, and his complexion couldn't help sinking. Same law formation, but now the power has suddenly improved so much. Star devil ancestor frowned. If it was said that Jian Wushuang used to cast the magical magic circle of heaven and earth at full strength, it would be very difficult for him to influence him. Even he could break into the magic circle silently, and could leave the magic circle of the magic circle at any time, but now, standing in the magic circle of the magic town, the ancestor of the Star Devil can feel that he is enduring the tremendous force of repression all the time. This force of repression is so powerful that he cannot get rid of it at all. Naturally, there is no way to move freely in this heavy circle. The sword is unparalleled. I saw the sky full of sword-like oceans swept up again, and the sword-shaped ocean was permeated with a thick layer of golden light. Wow! The horrible power burst out, and this golden light sword-shaped ocean frantically formed a shock. This terrible and violent wave came from all directions towards the star demon ancestors. Is also a golden light sword wave, but whether it is powerful, it is much stronger than before. Humph! The star ancestor murmured with a cold voice, still shaking his hand, and the unique black divine power swept out again. Before the sword Wushuang also fully exerted the wave lightsaber array. As a result, the star demon ancestor simply waved his sword array and his sword array collapsed directly. But now, peng peng, the first heavy golden light sword wave collided directly with the black divine power, but it produced a fierce roar, and immediately the golden light sword wave broke, and the black divine power also dissipated directly. What? Star demon ancestor was startled. With the same move, he directly destroyed the sword array that defeated Jian Wushuang directly, but this time, it was just the first heavy sword wave of this sword. See? You know, this sword means ocean, but it is endless. Howling. I saw the sky full of golden light swords and waves rising wildly, forming a heavy tsunami, slamming insanely. The star ancestor's face changed drastically. He had to take out a black sickle. The black sickle waved wildly, and chopped out a dark knife light. Each of these dark knife lights carried that special black divine power. Peng peng. 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 The dense sound of clashes continued to sound. The ancestor of the star devil waved a sickle and collided with the waves, but the waves were endless, one after the other, and never ending. How come? How can these sword-like waves of power suddenly improve so much at once? Too strong, these sword-like waves. I am afraid that any one of them reached the level of the 4th grade, even if I have to go all out to resist it. The star ancestor horrified. After the strength reaches the 4th level, the improvement of each level is very difficult. Like the Lord of the Clouds, he just broke through to reach the 4th rank shortly, but relying on a rule that is suitable for his own use, and with a glimpse of a universe of laws, he broke out with all his strength, and he could barely break out the 4th rank peak force. But this outbreak is really reluctant. The ancestor of Star Demon, after taking away everything from the Lord of the Clouds, is stronger than the Lord of the Clouds, and because he has mastered the relationship of that unique power, his combat power is definitely 4th. The top of the series is even the extreme of the 4th series. But there are 2 points. First of all, the Star Ancestor's combat power has not reached its peak, because when he occupied the main body of the Demon Star can't be miserable anymore. Although he later swallowed a large number of practitioners, his state recovered. Less, but at most, only 70% of the fighting force was restored. What's more, Jian Wushuang now controls the 3 town monuments, and the effect of performing the magic and magic town Tianfa array on his suppression is extremely amazing, allowing his strength to once again diminish. This resulted in the face of a heavy sword-like wave from Jian Wushuang, and he had to go all out, not only to use the special power he possessed, but also to use the laws of the universe to barely block it. But it only came to resist the impact of that sword-like wave. The ancestor of Xingmo is very clear that the sword wave in the sword array is endless. He can only resist for a while, but if it is a long time, it will be difficult for him to resist. In addition, there is another important point, that is, Jian Wushuang has not yet performed the mystery of burning power. Yes, Jian Wushuang did not perform the mystery of dragon extermination, but only relied on his own power to greatly increase after breaking through the domination, plus his own awareness of kendo, the laws of the universe, and the magic of heaven and magic and wave of swords. The combination has completely suppressed the ancestor of the Star Devil. In the ocean of swords, the waves of swords and violent impacts that went crazy and violent did indeed reach the 4th level peak level. Although it was barely reached, it was still outrageous. Just by using the wave of lightsaber array in a normal way, can you already suppress this Star Demon ancestor? Jian Wushuang squinted his eyes slightly, looking at the Star Demon ancestor with a hint of coldness. Hajiwara thought that even if he broke through, he would have to fight hard against the Star Demon ancestors, but now it seems that this is not the case. He doesn't need to cast his strongest card Primitive Universe at all, even he doesn't need to cast Dragon Demystifying Burning Power anymore now. Wu Jian Wushuang stared indifferently at the Star Demon ancestor, but the Wu Wei Excalibur in his hand was slowly raised. The entire universe is void, and Jian Wushuang has become the absolute focus. Everyone is staring at Jian Wushuang, staring at the sword in his hand. He closed his eyes. Before he was in that consciousness space for 100 years, he felt a lot of thoughts on kendo. Instantly, a new type of swordsmanship had taken shape. This sword, I am named Nirvana. After this sword, in the beginning of my life, the world of God will completely shake off the crisis and welcome the new life of Nirvana. From now on, in the beginning, the world will sit back and relax. Wu Jianhuang's eyes opened sharply, his eyes seemed to have the power of thunder flash away. And the Wu Cry Excalibur held high in his hands, it fell coldly. Suddenly, a terrible sword light came down. This sword not only carries Jian Wushuang's awareness of kendo in that conscious space for a full 100 years, but also carries extremely strong cosmic laws. The most important thing is that in this sword, there is also a brand new will power given by the laws of the universe. This sword is called Nirvana. Chapter 3986. The first is more. Howl. That clip with a strong cosmic law, and the shocking sword of the new will power, cut off. The moment when this sword light appeared and was ruthlessly cut, even if it was the ancestor of the Star Demon, its mind and body could not be shuddered. There was an unprecedented death crisis that shrouded the hearts of the Star Demon ancestors. The ancestor of the Star Demon is desperately desperate, and the vast black divine power on his body has swept wildly. He has exerted this special power he has mastered to the extreme, and he has also done his best to exert his current fighting power. Bang rong! I saw a huge cosmic black hole appearing out of thin air. This cosmic black hole directly occupied half of the battlefield, like an open mouth, and wanted to swallow the sword light that was cut off directly. Regarding volume, the sword light developed by Jian Wushuang is smaller than this black hole in the universe. The moment that sword light came into contact with the black hole in the universe, the horrible power broke out instantly. This huge cosmic black hole was ruthlessly chopped down, and a large number of special black divine powers, like the tide, went crazy around. After the cosmic black hole, the figure of the Star Demon ancestor emerged, but at this moment he was frightened. After the stunned sword light with the power of will cut through the cosmic black hole, he cut it directly on him. Suddenly, this body of the star demon ancestor collapsed. Although the body collapsed, the most important core of the star demon ancestor was his soul, which was his root. After the body collapsed, his soul would have a chance to escape. However, the ancestors of the star devil were horrified that the horrible sword light that Jian Wushuang cast out, and the willpower contained in it, also contained an incomparable special power, which was cut and defeated by Jian Guang at the same time as his divine body. Jian Guang also cut off his soul in an instant. The ancestor of the star demon was completely annihilated. He felt that his soul had collapsed, and even his consciousness began to blur. No. I can't die. How could I die? I'm not willing. Sword unparalleled. If my state has not recovered to the highest level, if my many treasures were lost when I escaped from eternal dark prison, how could you kill me? Do not. There was a burst of hysterical roars in the god's ancestor's body. These roars carried an unprecedented dare and resentment, but the voice had gradually weakened. The entire soul body of the star ancestor was cut in half directly. It is impossible for him to survive such injuries. You're right, if you have recovered to the highest level, or if all your treasures have not been lost, use your means and the whole cards. Even if I now have all my cards out and I want to kill you, I am afraid I have not so easy, but unfortunately, there is no regret medicine in this world, and you can only blame yourself for having bad luck. Jian Wushuang muttered. He also had to admit that the star demon ancestor was indeed terrible. His method is too incredible. If he had not lost all of his treasures in the space channel in order to escape the eternal dark prison, then with the star power of the ancestor, and with the many treasures in his hands, Sword Wushuang returned, there is no absolute certainty to kill it. Even now, the reason why Jian Wushuang was able to kill the star demon ancestor so cleanly is because of the new willpower given by the laws of the universe. The new willpower given by the cosmic law is completely different from the previous one. Not only is the willpower will be 10 times stronger, the most important thing is that there are some special things in the willpower, which can directly attack the soul of the ancestor of the star demon. Like the sword just now, when the star demon ancestor body was directly defeated, the soul of the star demon ancestor was also destroyed. And Jian Wushuang estimated that if the ancestor of the star demon had been differentiated, his divided soul would probably be directly destroyed. This special power is like cause and effect. He can kill his soul through the body of the ancestor of the star demon, or he can kill all the souls he has formed through his soul. What Jian Wushuang did not know was that the ancestor of star demon did indeed have a differentiated soul body. This differentiated soul body was left by the star demon ancestors before the outbreak of this war. He also prepared a way for himself. In case of any change in this war, his plan did not succeed, but instead after being beheaded by the Lord of the Clouds or Wushuang's sword, at least he will not actually die, and a differentiated soul body will survive, and there will be a chance of rise in the future. But now, Jian Wushuang's sword is cut off, and the differentiated soul body that he hid in the void of the universe is also annihilated. The ancestor of the star demon is really dead. Although it is not very clear what the special power entrained in this will of power is, anyway, this ancestor of the star devil is really dead, and the crisis of the world in the beginning is also truly lifted. Master, what you want me to guard, I guard. Wu Zhenshou clenched his hands tightly, his eyes flashed with strange light. Followed by Jian Wushuang laughed abruptly. He was very happy, very wanton. He is not alone. Many powerful men in the early divine realm are all ecstatic and excited at this moment. Dead, this star demon ancestor, really dead. Even the soul is annihilated, the dead can't die anymore, haha, the crisis of the world in my early days has finally been lifted. Victory, this battle, I was too early in the camp of the gods, I won. Win, haha. The entire Taikai God Realm camp, those who are invited to come are okay, but those practitioners who are themselves from the Taikai God Realm cannot help themselves at this moment. He is like a mysterious Shinto man and a master of space and time. Their eyes even faintly appear in the mist. They are crying with joy. There is no way, after the Lord of the Clouds took over Taichu God Realm has been on the edge of the cliff, and they have been working for Taichu God Realm. Once, they also thought that in the early days, the divine world would one day relieve the crisis and become like the ordinary astral world, but this step has been extremely far away. Even before the outbreak of the war, although they were fully prepared, they still did not have much confidence to win, especially the appearance of the ancestor of the star demon later, and their horrible devouring ability made them almost despair. I did not expect that in such a situation, Jian Wushuang could stand up and kill the ancestors of the Star Devil and use his own power to turn the tide. Chapter 3987. Second More. I won. With the sword Wushuang slaying the ancestor of the Star Demon, in the beginning, the realm of the gods really won the war. After the battle, the Lord of the Demon Star died, the ancestor of the Demon Star has already died, and the army of the Demon Star has also been defeated. Now the pre-God world has returned to the self-control of the will of heaven. Zun Taishu's greatest crisis in the world has been lifted. Countless practitioners from the early world of the gods are all surprised at this moment. They won, which means that the gods were robbed in the beginning. They don't need to abandon their hometown and wander in the void of the universe. The universe was empty, and Jian Wushuang took a deep breath. At this moment, he only felt that everything around him was very beautiful. He glanced at Taichu Divine Realm in front of him, smiled slightly, and then walked directly towards Taichu Divine Realm. In the early Tai camp, a large number of figures immediately moved forward to greet him. Fu Jun. There was tears in the coldness of frost, and she ran to Jian Wushuang in the first place and rushed into Jian Wushuang's arms directly. Wu Jianshuang also opened his hands and hugged his wife. Before that, facing the star ancestor, he was almost determined to die, and he had made a final farewell with his wife, but now he has survived and came to his wife again, hugging him. With his own breath, Jian Wushuang couldn't calm down for a long time. Heavenly friend. Wu Xian Shinto, the Lord of Time and Space, the Lord of the Heavens and the Celestial Alliance also all looked at Jian Wushuang at this moment, and their emotions were very complicated. These emotions have excitement and admiration, but more of them are gratitude. They are grateful for Jian Wushuang's slaying of the star demon ancestors, and saved the early gods with their own power. I can say that Jian Wushuang is the savior of the early gods. Without him, the ending of the early gods can only be perished. Wu Jianshou looked at the Xian Shinto people, and then grinned, "Dear people, the world is too safe. I'm safe." The simple 3 words made the smiling faces of countless strong people in the early world of God. Half a day later, in the 3rd heaven of the Tai Kingdom, there was an old nest of 3 holy places, but now it is the gate of the 7-star Xuanzong, and a huge feast is here. This feast is naturally a celebration feast. On the grand square, there are countless practitioners sitting densely. These practitioners are all the heroes who directly participated in the war. Not only is there a master, but also a lot of rulers. They are all in this square. Up there is a place. On the high platform in front of the square, a throne stands. These are the top powers of the early gods' camp. Among these thrones, a throne is particularly prominent. This throne is not only larger than other thrones, it is also the most central and core position. There are 2 people sitting on this throne. It is Jian Wushuang and his wife. He and his wife sit together on this throne, and there is a lot of attention around them. The status of a person must be won by his own strength. In this battle, Jian Wushuang is undoubtedly the first hero, that is, he killed the star demon ancestors with his own power at the last moment, and turned the tide, and in terms of strength, he is now in this star field. The strongest player, so this celebration party, he is definitely the protagonist. Wu Xian Shinto, the master of space and time, they directly held the sword Wushuang in the highest position. I initially refused this sword Wushuang, but the Xian Shinto people repeatedly demanded that they would sit on this largest and most conspicuous throne with the helplessness of the sword. This throne alone has proved the supreme status of Jian Wushuang. Although in his heart he respected the leaders of the Xian Shinto, the Lord of Time and Space, who were the early gods, but the latter did not regard him as a practitioner of the same level. You all. Jian Wushuang, who sat on the throne at the top, suddenly stood up, and Leng Rushuang next to him stood up at the same time. The whole banquet was quiet, and countless eyes brushed and solidified on Jian Wushuang's body. With a smile on his face, Jian Wushuang held a glass of wine in his hand and said, "This battle, all of you present are heroes. It is because of the concerted efforts of everyone that I won the final battle in this world. Victory, just for this victory, everyone, toast. Cheers." Numerous practitioners at the banquet held up wine glasses and drank this glass of celebratory wine. Ha ha, happy, happy. Xian Shinto laughed directly after drinking a glass of wine. "I haven't had such a pleasant drink for a long time, but I have never encountered anything before, and I always have a thorn. Existence is the existence of this thorn, which has made me sleepless, but now I can finally drink this glass of wine. That's right, it's not just you, we are all the same. Before the beginning, the divine world was in dire straits. I, as one of the leaders of the early divine world, have never dared to let go of the slightest slack, but now the crisis finally, it was lifted up. My world was finally settled in the early days. A few of us were able to fall asleep. I can see with my own eyes that the world in the early days has reached this stage. Even if I die now, I can all stare." The palace master smiled heartily. "Haha, in the beginning, the world finally settled down. I haven't really lived a few days before, but you can't die like this." The celestial leader also joked. Several other top powers in the early world of God also smiled very happily. Even the 13 Emperor 13, who was extremely indifferent on weekdays, frequently smiled at this celebration party. "Master, I wait to congratulate the Master for breaking through the Master and showing your power and beheading the Star Demon ancestor. Those slaves brought back from Eternal Dark Prison by Jian Wushuang have been killed by many Star Demon ancestors before, but many are still alive. They are now led by the Lord Dragon to toast to Jian Wushuang." "Thank you all," Jian Wushuang responded with a smile after drinking. "You can rest assured that my previous commitments will never change, and I will definitely give you freedom within 100,000 years, and now the kingdom of God has won a great war. It won't be long before the realm of the gods will completely calm down, and I do expect you to use it at that time, so I may release you in advance." Ahead. The Dragon Lord's eyes lit up immediately. And Jian Wushuang did not lie, he had enslaved the demon dragons before them to prepare for the battle with Demon Star. Now the war is over. In the beginning, there should be no crisis in the world of God. With his current strength, these slaves will not help him, so even if they are given freedom in advance, it is nothing to Jian Wushuang. Influences. Chapter 3988. The first is more. At the feast of Qing Qing, there was a laugh and laughter. As the protagonist of this war, Jian Wushuang became the focus naturally. In the early days, a top power in the world of toasted to Jian Wushuang, and Jian Wushuang did not decline. After 3 wine tours, the celebration party was still lively. "Fu Jun, you are afraid that you have not been so happy for a long time." Leng Rushuang looked at Jian Wushuang and smiled. "Indeed." Jian Wushuang also nodded. "Except when you revived the divine body and reunited with me, I haven't been so happy for a long time, but it's normal. Before that, I had been shouldering the burden of saving the early gods. I can't relax at all times, and now that the crisis of the world has been lifted, just like the mysterious gods, I have really relaxed. I am so happy to be so relaxed. Nangfujin, when are you going to take over the princely world?" Leng Rushuang asked suddenly. "Win the house." Jian was eyes narrowed. "Shuang'er, honestly, I'm hesitant now." "Why hesitate?" Cold as frost wondered. "I'm hesitant, do I want to take the house of God from the beginning?" Jian Wushuang said positively. If before, when the crisis of the early world was not resolved, he would not hesitate to take away the world of the early world. Only in this way could he protect the world of the early world. But now it's different. The Lord of the Demon Clouds has already died, including the ancestor of the Star Demon, and the power of the heavenly will in the early divine realm is not controlled by anyone at all. It is self-running at this time. Nothing affected it. So Jian Wushuang was wondering if he shouldn't go to the house, and it would be up and running by the will of the heavens and heavens in the early days. No one intervenes again. No one controls the will of heaven, just like the normal astral world. "Fu Jun, this question, would you like to ask Shenshin them?" Lung Rushuang said. Well, I'll ask and see. Jian Wushuang nodded, even if he asked directly at the banquet. Of course, although he asked, he blocked the space and time around him. He could not hear the conversation between Shenshen and others. Tianhu Xiaoyu, are you hesitant to take the house of God from the beginning? Wushuan Shinto, the Lord of Time and Space, the Lord of the Heavens and the Heavenly Ancestor, and several other leaders from the beginning of the world all looked at the sword unparalleled. Yes. Jian Wushuang nodded. What do you think? Xian Shinto asked. I don't want to take the house. Jian Wushuang said directly. In the early days, the realm of the gods was originally a side of the astral universe. It should have operated in accordance with the laws of the universe and should not be subject to any external factors or interference. Before, there was no way. I had to lose the house to be able to save the early gods, but now, since it is no longer necessary, it is naturally better not to lose the house. I heard the words of Jian Wushuang. In the early days, the leaders of the gods looked at each other with smiles on their faces. When I saw this bald head, Jian Wushuang still didn't have the slightest selfishness. He didn't want to rely on taking away the early gods to improve his strength. Obviously, he was really good for the early gods. This made Shen Shendao people very satisfied. And very comforting. Tianhu Xiaoyu, the Lord of Time and Space said, you obviously can easily take away the early divine realm and get endless benefits, but you don't have any selfishness. You want to let the early divine realm of the heavens and heavens will evolve and operate by itself. This lets me you will be very pleased, but pleased to return, you still have to win. Why? Jian Wushuang frowned. First of all for you. The Lord of Space and Time solemnly said, Tianhu Xiaoyu, you have excellent talents and unlimited potential. You are like a Qianlong, which is basically the beginning of the divine realm and even this star field. You should go to the deeper part of the more vast universe, where is the place where you should stay, and if you take away the original divine realm, this will have endless benefits for you, your future growth more space. Sword without double-sided color unchanged. It was indeed a great opportunity for him to win the house of God, but he didn't care. After all, he was born to this day, why did he get more than once or twice? Nothing else to say, Ling Yunxing and Hong Yun alone are all great creations. Maybe for others, it is absolutely rare to be able to take over the astral realm, but Jian Wushuang really doesn't care. He believes that even if he didn't take over the early world, he can still set foot on the top of the universe. Perhaps you don't care about this opportunity, but you have paid so much for the gods in the beginning. Of course, I have to wait for you. Of course, there are more important reasons. The master of space and time laughed, Tianhu Xiaoyu, although now the crisis in the early gods is indeed lifted, but if I am not wrong, there are still many hidden dangers in the early gods. Hidden danger? Jian Wushuang frowned. Yes. This hidden danger comes from the various means deployed by the demon lord to control the three sacred realms and witch gods at the beginning, and these means were used to accelerate the evolution of the gods in the early stage and squeeze them to the maximum extent. In the beginning of the divine realm, although these three methods seem to have temporarily stopped since the destruction of the three sacred realms, who knows what the three sacred realms have squeezed the primal realm? And what measures did they put in at the beginning? Whether those measures will continue to crush the Taiju divine realm in the future, we do not know these, and we cannot go with the heavenly will of Tai Di divine realm communication, even if the current divine realm is still damaged, we do nt know. Wu Jian Wushuang was silent. It is true that after the battle of the Lord of the Demon Clouds, the divine realm in the early days was already full of sorrows. Although the divine realm has been redominated by the will of the heavens, but no hidden danger exists in the divine realm in the early days. After all, they were unable to communicate with the heavenly will of the gods in the early days. If you want to truly eradicate these hidden dangers, and want to make sure that the realm of the early divine realm is safe and sound, you little friends, you must take away the realm of the early divine realm. There are really many hidden dangers in the divine realm in the early days, and you can also solve them. The words of the Lord of Time and Space Palace immediately attracted the approval of several leaders around. Obviously, they also think that Jian Wushuang should seize the kingdom of Taichu. Besides, there is one more point. The Lord of Time and Space continued, although I now seem to be safe in the first place, what about the future? Heavenly friend, you will definitely go to the depths of the universe in the future. At that time, if I encountered any crisis in the realm of the gods, even if you knew it, you would not be able to get back in time, or even help you, but if you lose your house, it's a completely different world. End of this chapter. Chapter 3989. Second more. If you have lost the pre-God realm, then even if your deity is in the deepest part of the universe, you can still block all my strong enemies that can threaten my pre-God realm, all outside the pre-God realm. Tianhu Xiaoyu, this is the way you really protect the primordial world, sighed the Lord of Time and Space. Yes, the heavenly will of the gods in the early days will only run on its own in accordance with the laws of the universe. It is really in a big crisis. The heavenly will of the gods in the early days will not play any role. In order to be able to shelter me from the beginning of the world. Xian Shinto and others also nodded in approval. Hearing what they said, Zhen Wushuang was obviously also moved. Sure enough, the Lord of Time and Space is very justified. Regardless of the hidden dangers in the early divine realm or the calamities encountered in the future, he can only solve it by taking away the heavenly will of the early divine realm. That being the case, when this celebration feast is over, I will go and win the house. Jian's eyes were full of light, and he had already made up his mind. Seeing this, the Xian Shinto people and the Lord of Time and Space all laughed. Qi Qing's feast is still going on. After all, this is the great victory of the whole Taiji kingdom, and this war actually started from a long time ago. Until now, the Taiji kingdom has really won, and this kind of special victory has continued. Time is naturally longer. The feast of Qi Qing was held for 3 days and 3 nights before it ended. The powerhouses of all parties in Taichu Divine have dispersed. As for those who have been invited, they have all received the treasure they wanted, and then they have left the kingdom of Taichu Divine. The void at the top, the leaders of the gods in the early days, gathered here. Heavenly friend, go. Xian Shinto smiled. Wu Jiansu nodded his head slightly, and immediately under the gaze of these people, directly into the surrounding void. Jian Wushuang itself is a practitioner of perfect life level. After the strength breakthrough reaches the dominance, he can very clearly sense the existence of the heavenly will of the early gods, and because of the experience of refining the ancient chaotic world, Jian Wushuang now wants to win Shi Taichu was also very relaxed. Everything is as expected by Jian Wushuang. Only a dozen attempts. By the 17th time, Jian Wushuang successfully refined the heavenly will of Taichu Divine Realm. At this moment, Jian Wushuang truly mastered the entire Taichu Divine Realm. And after really mastering the early world, Jian Wushuang knew that he could gain the benefits that he could gain by giving up the early world. There are 2 benefits to this. One is that Taichu Divine Realm is a universe of astral nurtured by the universe. It has a complete heavenly cycle. Jian Wushuang can feel the existence of this complete heavenly cycle through the heavenly will of Taishu's. This has incredible help for his cultivation. Second, it is more useful. In the beginning, the heavenly will of the kingdom of God was fully operated in accordance with the supreme rules of the universe. After taking away the kingdom of the early heavenly kingdom, he could communicate to the vast universe through the heavenly will of the early heavenly kingdom, and he could sense the universe extremely clearly. The existence of laws, not only the laws of the universe, but even the power of the universe, the many things contained in the universe, have helped him too much. I now understand that the Lord of the Nebula is not going to be very good tomorrow, and he was forced to wander outside only when he was forced to do so. But why the power can be improved in a short period of time after taking over the gods of the early days? Many, and finally even realized a trace of the law of the universe. Jian Wushuang could not help but sigh. Can feel the complete heavenly cycle at any time, can even clearly sense the laws of the universe, and even communicate with the vast universe. Under such a priori advantage, even mediocre people can be greatly improved in a short time. If I had taken away this early divine realm earlier, I would need to go through the darkened realm to experience life and death, and finally rely on the nucleus fragments of the undead horror to comprehend such traces of the universe's laws, and I would directly enlighten myself. I am afraid can easily understand a trace of the law of the universe. Jian Wushuang secretly said. Imagine that even the Lord of the Clouds relied on the heavenly will of the early gods to realize a trace of the law of the universe. His talents and understanding are many times stronger than that of the Lord of the Clouds. It is natural that he must understand the law of the universe. Easy. And now that he has realized the laws of the universe, and has really stepped into the threshold of the laws of the universe, the speed at which he now communicates with the universe and understands the laws of the universe will naturally be faster, and that speed is definitely dozens of times, even above 100 times higher. I know the benefits that I can gain from taking over the early world of God. Although Jian Wushuang is quite happy, he is not too excited. Then, he immediately dominated the heavenly will of Taichu Divine Realm, and began to explore the whole Taichu Divine Realm. With the will of heaven, Jian Wushuang soon covered his consciousness in all corners of Taichu Divine Realm, and everything in Taichu Divine Realm was seen by him. Sure enough, Jian Wushuang found several huge hidden dangers in Taichu Divine Realm. The hidden dangers are called hidden dangers because Jian Wushuang can obviously feel that these places have been causing damage to the early Divine Realm. There is one place Jian Wushuang is extremely familiar. Reincarnation Sect, Reincarnation Tianyu. Jian Wushuang's eyes stared straight. In the early days of the world, the Reincarnation Sect located in the second heaven, once Jian Wushuang went to this reincarnation to fully understand the rules of reincarnation, and in the reincarnation field of the Reincarnation Sect, Jian Wushuang found a shocking secret. He discovered at the time that the bottom of the reincarnation heaven domain contained the horrifying two forces of life and death, and perfectly blended together forming a huge vortex of life and death. At the time, he also encountered the consciousness left by the reincarnation ancestor. The reincarnation ancestor told him that this vortex of life and death is a complete life and death cycle. Jian Wushuang at that time was really startled. After all, life and death reincarnation, but it only belongs to the legendary existence. However, at first he was too weak to really participate in the reincarnation of life and death. He could only leave, but he never went there again. But now, after Jian Wushuang dominated the heavenly will of the early gods, he discovered that the life and death vortex hidden in the bottom of the reincarnation heavens, whereas the reincarnation of life and death, that is a huge law circle, which can continue to crush the potential of the divine realm, which has a great influence on the early divine realm. Obviously, this vortex of life and death was one of the means laid out by the three sacred realms at first, but was discovered by the coincidence of the reincarnation ancestor, and thought that the treasure is still thinking about refining, and the reincarnation ancestor will also be reincarnation. Zhong's old nest was placed there. Many readers said that when the world was saved in the beginning, it could be finished, but I do think it is complete. After all, so much has been written about the universe. Ling Yunxing, Red Cloud, Life Palace, and pits have been dug. So many, how could it be possible to finish the copy directly? Wouldn't it be the same as the eunuch? So, the universe chapter must be written, and there is still one of the biggest pits left. You can continue to open it patiently. No surprise tomorrow or the day after tomorrow. There are big surprises waiting for everyone. Chapter 3990. The first is more. It is ridiculous that I really thought that the heavy law formation and even a great opportunity, but it was a huge hidden danger. The chill in Wu Jian's eyes was cold, and when he saw his body dazzle, the next moment was already appearing in the second heaven, which was before the sect of the reincarnation. He now dominates the will of the heavenly world in the early days of the kingdom, and can easily appear in every corner of the early world of the heavens. Looking at the huge gate in front, Jian Wushuang directly released the might. Although his strength could not be fully exerted because of the relationship in the early world of God, even Shunwei only barely revealed part of it, but this part of Shunwei is already shocking to the reincarnation. Throughout the reincarnation sect, countless practitioners began to tremble under this might, and the reincarnation lords and the elders of the reincarnation sect appeared in front of Jian Wushuang at the fastest speed. Meet the Lord of the Blood Sword. The Reincarnation Lord and those elders spoke in unison, with great respect. I don't know why the Lord of the Blood Sword came to my reincarnation sect. The Reincarnation Lord was very worried. He knew the strength and status of the sword unparalleled. In a word, the entire reincarnation sect was estimated to be overthrown. Reincarnation Sovereign, many of the elders in the reincarnation sect have also participated in the battle with Demon Star, and we should also know the hidden dangers of the mythical world in the beginning. Jian Wushuang stared calmly at the reincarnation lord in front. No some. The Samsara nodded. Well, look at this. Jian Wushuang waved his hand, directly driving the consciousness of the Samsara masters and those elders, and looked at the bottom of the reincarnation heaven domain. I soon reincarnate the suzerain and they see the huge vortex of life and death at the bottom of the reincarnation heaven. Oh my God! What is that? The reincarnation sovereign and the elders were shocked. Although the reincarnation's old nest is above the vortex of life and death, the reincarnation heaven domain has always been their treasure, but the huge birth and death vortex under the reincarnation heaven domain, they did not know. It was a heavy law formation. This law formation was the former 3 sacred realms. The law formation laid out to squeeze the potential of the mythical world in the early days was later discovered by the founder of the reincarnation. Thinking that this law formation is a good opportunity, you will set up your old nest of reincarnation here. Jian Wushuangdao. Is that so? The sovereign suddenly looked at Jian Wushuang with him. The Lord of the Blood Sword, are you coming this time to destroy this law formation? Yes. Jian Wushuang nodded, but your reincarnation is above this circle. If I try to destroy the circle, your reincarnation will also be destroyed, so I will now specifically come to your door to inform you. After all, you are in the reincarnation. It was also contributed in the previous war. Naturally, I will not directly destroy your reincarnation, but I hope you can move the reincarnation to another place as soon as possible. Understood. The reincarnation master took a deep breath. He knew that since the law formation was harmful to the gods in the early days, it was definitely going to be destroyed. Now Jian Wushuang found them and asked them to move the ancestors. This was already considered for them. The Lord of the Blood Sword, one of the ancestral gates needs to be relocated, and more or less preparation time is required. The reincarnation lord frowned. I know, I will give you 1 month, and I will shoot after 1 month. Jian Wushuangdao. A month? The Samsara master nodded slightly. 1 month is a bit short, but it is enough to let many disciples of Samsara relocate to other places. Also, the reincarnation master is also very clear, since the war is always harming the early gods, the sword Wushuang naturally will not let it continue for long. I can give them a month, and Jian Wushuang is very kind. Thank you, Lord of the Blood Sword. Jian Wushuang nodded his head and left immediately. Next, Jian Wushuang went to several other places with great hidden dangers. Those few places are not the old nests of some ancestral gates, but they are also extremely remote, and some are still in some Jedi dangerous places. However, for the current sword Wushuang, any dangerous place in the world in the early days would not pose any danger to him. He easily reached the places where there are hidden dangers, and immediately shot directly, using the thunder method to bring the 3 holy realms. The means and arrays that were laid out were defeated one by one. After 1 month, Jian Wushuang returned to the reincarnation sect. At this moment, the reincarnation sect has almost migrated, at least those strong disciples have left. Jian Wushuang did not hesitate to shoot directly, only 1 sword destroyed the huge vortex of life and death. Since then, the 3 sacred realms in the Taichu divine realm were all erased. At that moment, Jian Wushuang clearly felt that Taichu divine realm seemed to be relieved. The whole divine realm in the beginning of the early years began to change in a good direction. I believe that it won't take long before it will fully return to normal state. The crisis of the world, including hidden dangers, was all relieved. I was outside the realm of God in the beginning, and in the vast universe. Wu Jianshou stood there with both hands on his back, and in front of him stood a respectable master. These masters are naturally the prisoners that Jian Wushuang brought back from the eternal dark prison. Although in the previous wars, These prisoners were swallowed by more than 10 ancestors, but there are still 20. The coming is alive, like the Lord of the Dragon, Lord of the Scorpion, and Lord of the Martian are still alive. According to what I said before, I will set you free in advance now, but after you set free, you'd better leave this star field immediately. Of course, it doesn't matter if you don't leave, but I don't want anyone in this star. It's a crime in the field, otherwise, I will shoot directly, but it will be more than just enslaving you directly. I will kill him directly. You should understand that I have this strength. Jian Wushuang said coldly. Hearing the words of Jian Wushuang, these slaves were all in shock. If it was said that in the eternal dark prison, they were forced to surrender to Jian Wushuang, and their heart was somewhat unconvinced. But now they saw how Jian Wushuang had killed the ancestors of the Star Devil before their own eyes. The terrifying strength was the top of the 4th rank. The current sword Wushuang, to kill them, is really no different from killing chickens. Naturally, they dare not have any doubts about the sword Wushuang. Okay, go. Qi Jian Wushuang waved his hand, and instantly recovered his imprint in the origin of these slave souls. These servants were shocked in shape, with ecstasy on their faces. I followed them all to pay respects to Jian Wushuang, so they left. You're tuning in to the Celestial War YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories,